Breaking news. Hamas has set shocking conditions for a peace deal, demanding a full Israeli withdrawal. Will this change the course of the Middle East forever? Stay tuned to uncover the latest developments. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep into one of the most critical developments in the Israel-Palestine conflict. Hamas, the Palestinian militant group, has officially set forth its conditions for a peace deal with Israel. The main demand: a complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from occupied territories. This announcement has sent shockwaves through the region and triggered urgent diplomatic conversations worldwide. For decades, the conflict has been marked by intermittent violence, failed negotiations, and deep-rooted mistrust. Hamas' recent statement indicates a bold move, signaling that any future agreement must address fundamental territorial issues. Experts believe that this demand could either pave the way for unprecedented negotiations or escalate tensions if Israel rejects the terms outright. International powers, including the United States, Egypt, and the United Nations, are now carefully monitoring developments, with diplomats emphasizing the need for compromise and dialogue. Citizens in both Israel and Gaza are watching anxiously, as any decision could directly impact their safety and livelihoods. In today's video, we will break down Hamas conditions, analyze the potential responses from Israel, discuss the reactions of international players, and consider what this could mean for long-term peace in the region. Whether you are a student of global politics, a concerned citizen, or someone who simply wants to understand the dynamics of conflict resolution, this video will provide a detailed and insightful analysis. Hamas' latest statement outlines several key demands that must be met for any peace deal to proceed. The centerpiece of these demands is a complete Israeli withdrawal from Gaza and the West Bank, territories occupied since 1967. Beyond territorial concerns, Hamas insists on lifting the blockade on Gaza, ensuring free movement for people and goods, and restoring Palestinian sovereignty over border crossings. Analysts emphasize that Hamas is framing these conditions as non-negotiable, presenting them as prerequisites for meaningful discussions. This approach underscores the group's strategic aim to assert political legitimacy while safeguarding Palestinian interests. By formalizing these demands publicly, Hamas seeks to influence international opinion and pressure Israel into serious negotiation talks. Another critical aspect of Hamas' demands involves security guarantees. The group insists that any peace arrangement include protections against Israeli military incursions, with international observers playing a role in monitoring compliance. Furthermore, Hamas calls for recognition of Palestinian governance in Gaza and the West Bank, which it views as crucial for sustainable peace. While some may see these demands as ambitious or even unrealistic, they reflect long-standing grievances rooted in decades of conflict. Critics argue that Hamas' insistence on total withdrawal could be a stumbling block, while supporters claim it is a fair assertion of rights. Understanding these demands is essential to grasp the challenges and opportunities for any potential peace deal in the Middle East. Israel's reaction to Hamas conditions is anticipated to be cautious but firm. Historically, Israel has resisted calls for a full withdrawal from occupied territories, citing security concerns and the need to protect its citizens from militant attacks. A complete pullback could, from Israel's perspective, leave borders vulnerable and risk renewed hostilities. Israeli officials have repeatedly emphasized that any negotiations must include guarantees of security and recognition of Israel's right to exist. In this context, Hamas' demand for full withdrawal may be viewed as a major barrier. Political analysts note that Israel's government, especially under its current leadership, may propose a phased withdrawal or alternative arrangements, such as demilitarized zones or international monitoring, instead of full concession. Additionally, Israel's domestic politics play a crucial role. Public opinion is heavily influenced by recent conflicts, and any decision perceived as compromising security could spark internal backlash. Military experts argue that a hasty withdrawal without strategic safeguards could lead to a power vacuum and increased attacks from extremist factions. Despite potential resistance, Israel may also consider international pressure, particularly from allies like the United States and European nations. Diplomatic channels may encourage compromise measures, such as partial withdrawal or enhanced security arrangements, to prevent escalation. The coming weeks are expected to be pivotal, with negotiations, public statements, and strategic planning shaping the future of the peace process. Hamas' announcement has reverberated across the international community, eliciting reactions from world leaders, diplomats, and organizations. Countries like Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey have expressed cautious support for renewed talks, emphasizing the importance of dialogue and negotiation. Meanwhile, Western powers, particularly the United States and the European Union, have called for restraint and a focus on achievable solutions. The United Nations has highlighted the urgency of addressing humanitarian needs in Gaza while pursuing political agreements. UN officials stress that any peace deal must prioritize civilian safety, access to essential services, and reconstruction efforts in conflict-affected areas. Humanitarian organizations echo this sentiment, warning that prolonged hostilities could exacerbate an already dire situation. Some countries, however, have voiced skepticism about Hamas' intentions. Critics argue that the group's conditions may be strategically designed to stall negotiations or gain political leverage without genuine intent to compromise. Analysts suggest that international mediators will need to carefully balance pressure on Israel and engagement with Hamas to achieve a workable framework. Public opinion worldwide varies. Supporters of Palestinian rights view Hamas demands as justified, while others worry that rigid positions could lead to renewed violence. The international response will play a crucial role in shaping the feasibility of any peace deal, influencing both parties' willingness to negotiate and the broader geopolitical landscape in the Middle East. To fully understand Hamas' demands, it's essential to consider the historical context of the Israel-Palestine conflict. The roots of this struggle date back over a century, involving disputes over land, national identity, the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, the 1967 Six-Day War, and subsequent conflicts have shaped the political and social landscape of the region. Territorial occupation, displacement, and ongoing settlement expansion are core grievances that continue to fuel tensions. For Palestinians, Hamas' call for withdrawal represents an assertion of historical and legal claims over Gaza and the West Bank. For Israelis, security concerns stemming from past attacks influence their approach to territorial concessions. Previous peace efforts, such as the Oslo Accords and the Camp David talks, have failed to achieve lasting solutions, largely due to mistrust, political divisions, and competing national narratives. Hamas' current stance reflects decades of accumulated grievances, emphasizing sovereignty, territorial integrity, and protection of civilians. Understanding this historical backdrop is crucial for evaluating the feasibility of negotiations. It highlights why any peace deal must address both security and justice concerns. Ignoring these historical dimensions risks repeating past mistakes and prolonging conflict. Experts argue that sustainable peace requires not only political agreements but also reconciliation efforts, economic development, and international support to ensure long-term stability. Beyond politics, the humanitarian situation in Gaza remains a pressing concern. Years of blockade, recurrent conflict, and limited access to basic services have created a severe crisis for civilians. Hamas' conditions for peace emphasize lifting restrictions to enable the flow of food, medical supplies, and essential goods. Healthcare infrastructure in Gaza is under immense pressure. Hospitals often operate without adequate resources, struggling to treat patients amid ongoing conflict. Education and employment opportunities are limited, contributing to widespread poverty and instability. Humanitarian organizations consistently warn that these challenges could worsen if hostilities escalate. International efforts have focused on providing aid, but political and security barriers often hinder effective delivery. Hamas' insistence on lifting blockades reflects a demand not only for political sovereignty but also for the well-being of ordinary Palestinians. Israel and international mediators must balance security concerns with the urgent need to address humanitarian crises. Any peace deal that fails to improve living conditions risks undermining trust, perpetuating resentment, and prolonging cycles of violence. Experts argue that humanitarian considerations should be central to negotiation frameworks, ensuring that peace is not just a political agreement, but a tangible improvement in people's daily lives. Security remains the most contentious issue in any potential peace agreement. Hamas' demand for Israeli withdrawal raises questions about border control, military presence, and the risk of militant escalation. Israel has historically emphasized the need to maintain strategic control to prevent attacks, while Hamas insists on sovereignty and protection from incursions. A successful peace deal would require detailed security arrangements, potentially involving international observers or demilitarized zones. Both sides would need guarantees that any concessions do not compromise their respective populations. Military analysts suggest phased approaches, intelligence sharing mechanisms, and neutral peacekeeping forces as potential solutions. However, mistrust remains high. Past ceasefires have often collapsed due to violations, miscommunications, or provocations. Any agreement must therefore include robust verification methods and clearly defined consequences for breaches. The stakes are immense. Failure to establish secure and enforceable terms could trigger renewed conflict, while a successful framework could pave the way for stability, economic development, and improved international relations. Security considerations will inevitably dominate discussions, influencing both Hamas and Israel's willingness to negotiate and accept compromises. Hamas conditions also carry significant political ramifications. Domestically, the group aims to strengthen its position among Palestinians by presenting itself as a defender of rights and sovereignty. Internationally, Hamas seeks recognition as a legitimate political actor capable of negotiating serious agreements. For Israel, responding to these demands carries political risks. Concessions may be perceived as weakness by opposition parties or the public, while outright rejection could trigger criticism from allies advocating for diplomacy. Political analysts predict that leaders on both sides will navigate a complex landscape, balancing security, public opinion, and international pressure. Regional politics are equally critical. Neighboring countries, including Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia, play influential roles in facilitating or mediating discussions. Their support or opposition can affect the dynamics of negotiations and the likelihood of achieving a viable peace deal. Hamas' strategy appears to be leveraging both international attention and regional diplomacy to strengthen its hand. By presenting clear demands, the group aims to frame the narrative and control negotiation terms. The political calculus for Israel, Hamas, and external actors will ultimately shape whether this moment leads to breakthrough talks or intensified conflict. Looking ahead, several scenarios could unfold. In one, Israel and Hamas may enter structured negotiations, potentially mediated by international actors, resulting in phased withdrawals, security guarantees, and partial lifting of blockades. This outcome could stabilize the region and open pathways for economic and humanitarian recovery. Alternatively, Hamas' rigid demands may lead to a stalemate, prolonging tensions and risking escalation. Both sides may engage in limited military actions or diplomatic brinkmanship to assert positions, creating uncertainty for civilians and neighboring countries. A third scenario involves external intervention. International actors may impose conditions, sanctions, or incentives to facilitate compromise. Regional alliances could shift depending on perceived legitimacy, security needs, and humanitarian concerns. Experts emphasize that flexibility, communication, and trust building are essential. Any durable solution will require addressing core grievances while ensuring security and governance arrangements that are enforceable and mutually acceptable. Public sentiment, media coverage, and diplomatic pressure will all influence the trajectory of these developments. In conclusion, Hamas conditions for a peace deal mark a pivotal moment in the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict. The demand for complete Israeli withdrawal, alongside calls for lifted blockades and sovereignty recognition, underscores the deep-rooted challenges of achieving lasting peace. The international community, Israel, and Hamas must navigate a delicate path, balancing security, political interests, and humanitarian needs. While the situation remains complex and unpredictable, understanding these demands is crucial for anyone seeking to grasp the dynamics of the Middle East. What happens next will depend on negotiations, public opinion, and diplomatic engagement. The stakes are high, with implications for regional stability, civilian lives, and global geopolitics. Analysts and policymakers alike are watching closely, hoping for a breakthrough that prioritizes both justice and safety. Thank you for watching this detailed breakdown. If you found this video informative, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on global affairs. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest videos. Comment below with your thoughts. Do you think Hamas demands are realistic, or will they lead to further tensions? Let's start the discussion and share perspectives.